Thank you for your questions, Yanis. I will answer them. I was looking for the verse, but now, before the session start, it came, so I have an idea of how to compose an answer. Hello, Jill.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing good today.
How is the weather?
It's rainy right
Oh,
now, but we need the water. It's
good.
kind of dry out there, but it's kind of dark and rainy right now.
Good to hear about the rain.
Yeah,
Thi- Yes, this year so far there was only, about 30% rain for the season, so it's quite little.
yeah,
But
that's really dry.
yes, yes. And how do you feel with the rain and so?
I I like I love the seasons. I love the snow and I also love the rain. I,
Good.
I'm just pretty flexible when it comes to the seasons, and so I don't mind any of it. Um, and we need it, and the plants need it, so it's good. It's always good.
Good, good to hear. Anything that you'd like to share or to ask before we start?
Um, no, I don't think so. Not quite. I'm just gonna listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Pixidis, would you like to ask something or to share something? You can also unmute and speak. Yanis as well. Please feel free. Pixidis, you can unmute. We can hear your voice here. The snow stopped already? Is there still snow or less, Pixidis? Here, it's quite warm day for the season. At night, it's about 10 degrees. But during the day, the temperature approaches 20 degrees and it's sunny. There's no clouds. Now there's a bit of western wind and the palms are moving. The, the wind comes from the sea and blows into the palms. It's beautiful. We're happy that you feel better, Pixies. We are very happy. Very cool. Yes. Today I would like to start with a lore that is being spoken in relation to Moses, but it's about all of us. There is one lore or midrash. Midrash is one of those stories that are teaching us about humanity without saying something particular, but it's something general regarding the spirit of humanity, spirit of men. One of the lores is saying that there isn't anything, yes, or that was not given as a Torah, as a theory, as wisdom of life to Moses, meaning everything, and it's not about historical Moses and it's not about Mount Sinai. It is about the intelligence. Whenever we have in brackets idea, or let's say some kind of ideas crossing us, we tend to believe that this is a personal idea, that we are the generators of this idea. And in most of cases, some people will follow this idea. But the sages are telling us one interesting thing. There is not any thought. There isn't a thought that was already thought, has been in a way inconceived in the infinite intelligence. Is this idea clear? Before we continue, and why do I speak about this today? Do we understand the concept? Just as a concept? Yes. So what we tend to think, good morning, Rodrigo, but we tend to think this is my thought, this is my idea. I just had this idea to read this book or to do something or to, let's say, to paint. In any field that we are choosing to follow what comes through us, there is a previous path in a way. There is a previous intelligence that was there, so to speak, before us. The question is, why do I share this idea? Why are we sharing this idea? First of all, that we shall not be afraid. Because whenever something new comes, there is a tendency to relate to the new idea, to the new innovation in suspicious. And who am I, so to speak, to follow or to take this even into consideration? But the main thing, if something comes and you feel one with it, in a way, follow it. And don't be afraid that you are not, in a way, configured all the, let's say, missing parts. Because everything is preconceived in this infinite intelligence. And in a way, life is just moving through us. So there is no need to be afraid when new thoughts and impressions are coming through us. The interesting thing is that when something new comes, it might shake us, because if we have a sense of self, or the idea of who am I, and this idea about who am I is quite rigid in four walls, but in a way that I see myself, those ideas might be feeling to us as shaky ideas, because the way I perceive life or myself is quite rigid. And if comes this new wave or this idea, it just, what? Something like this can happen? I will lose myself if I will listen to this idea. If I take this idea or this, let's say, path, there is no path in a way, but let's say, yes, I will lose myself. I will quit my life. But it ain't so. We're not losing anything. Why? Because we don't have anything. It's quite simple. Yeah. Yes. There is intelligence, and this intelligence is always, in a way, escorting us, is moving through us, with us, whether we notice this or not. So therefore, there shall not be any fear, yes, or hesitation. Sometimes we're afraid. I'm new at work, or I'm new in this university, in this school, and we're trying to calculate all the steps, and we try to be wiser than the wiser. I'll do this, I'll do that. We try to make all kinds of plans to bypass this inconvenience of being new in a certain place, in a certain area, in a certain field. But there is no need to be afraid, because everything is being escorted by a higher guidance, providence. The only thing that, in a way, comes is a calculation of the brain, which is a machine or a muscle, yes? And it will always offer us all kinds of, why not? You have something, you will lose something. Yes, it calculates and always show us our account, so to speak, in a minus in relation to life. But it's the opposite, because the unknown is always bigger than what we know. Questions? Rodrigo, Jill, Yanis, Big Cities, questions if you have. So whatever comes to you, it comes. And there's a presence, and there's no need to be afraid. And some people, they have anxiety if they don't have a plan for the day. Yes, if they don't have a fixed plan or something in a way comes as, let's say, as a surprise, they feel uncomfortable and unsure because it's not something that they know, it's not a structure that they know. But there is no need because everything is just a flow and life just as life, they are pulsating through us as life wishes in a way. And we're just the receptors that receive those life. Those because in Hebrew it's plural life. Sometimes we have this notion that there is a bit of heaviness, or there is a bit of slowness, or what the day will bring, or what tomorrow will bring, or what shall happen to us in general, to the state, to the country, in politics, in all kinds of fields, let's say. But those things, those questions or those marvels are just, it's like a noise in the background because there's no need to worry about anything. It's just, this is how life is about. And the more, let's say, we're into it, in tune in it, there is, in a way, not discovery, but there is a recognition of this is how life flows. Rodrigo, good morning. Happy to see you here. You can unmute and speak if you wish. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Eti. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. How do you do?
Oh, I'm fine, Eti. Thank you very much. It's amazing to be here with our friends, Pixides, Yanis, Jill, and listen to you, Eti. Oh, it's a very, how can I say, it's too hard deal with this in our daily life because, how can I say, in order to leave our ego behind, we first need to have this notion of ego, which has been built um, throughout our lives, and this notion of ego is nourished every day in our daily lives, and it's hard to release this. I don't know if you understand me, but in every minute, instead to release this part of us, or this me, this I, we we nourish this part of us, and it's difficult to deal with this. I don't know if you understand me.
I do understand. Here's something example. Thank you for this question, or the, let's say, sharing of this ego, the perception of who am I, yes, the name, the life story, and so something that happened today. It was like now it's 25. Yes, it was the spring of 21 that we got the first inoculation in Israel. The corona started at spring 20. At spring 21, about March or so, between January and March, they started inoculating the population in a very, very, how do you say, organized way. So organized that the army pulled its arm, and the army also helped open tents all over the country in special places that were announced, and we received appointments on the phone, and we were told where to appear, in what time, what is the room, and so on. So it was very professional treatment, and they managed to pull a great service of inoculation. And it's the first time that in spring 21, we managed to leave the house, meaning 12 months we did not leave the house at all. There was also restriction about movement, and sometimes we got those messages from the government, you can only move 50 meters, something like 50 steps, also 100 meters. It was really, now when I remember, it comes to me. Anyways, after 12 months or so, 13 months, because it started at February 20, they announced in Israel. March 21, it was after the first inoculation vaccine. So we went to drink coffee in the bay after 13 months. And in the coffee space, yes, there is like indoors and outdoors, little balcony with a bit of flowers and few tables. And we were sitting there. And there was a lady. Everything is very small in Israel, so the spaces everywhere you go is very, very little and tiny. So on little space, you have many tables and chairs. Everything is very, very squeezed. Israel is a very tiny space. So we were sitting, and it was beautiful. It was spring. And there was a lady, she was smoking like we say, like a train, how do you say, locomotive. And I was so mad. Just to give you an example of who am I, ego, yes, I was really, I remember this moment. I was so mad because finally, after 13 months, we could leave the house and be like in a space which is like general, when the general like people, civilization. And come this lady and just smokes, and there was a wind, spring, and all the smoke. I was really upset. Look what happened today. Today I was there passing through because I had to arrange a few things there. And now 4 years, it's spring 21, now we're approaching spring 25. And this, during those 4 years, I heard they are calling in Israel there's a coffee net called Aroma. Like Starbucks, there in Israel, there's a net called Aroma, and people make order and they call them by name. So during those months, years, I learned that her name is Valentina. Today I was passing there, and I heard that they're calling her name to come and pick up the coffee, and I noticed she was sitting in one of the tables outside, like semi-garden, and she was browsing the phone, and they were calling twice, Valentina, Valentina. And I approached her, and I said, Valentina, they're calling your name, your coffee is ready. And she said, yes, I heard. Do you understand the story? 4 years, I did not see, before this Corona thing, I didn't know even she is existing, this lady. I was so upset, to tell you what the perception of ego, of the definition of who am I. Yes. I was so upset that she's smoking. Probably she was smoking because she's a smoker, and for her to leave the house, it means also smoking. They're smokers. They're not choosing to be smokers, yes. But I remember, rah, how dare, finally the spring, finally we are out of walls. And Meanwhile, 4 years passed. We crossed a very, very hard war situation in the last 15 months. And you know what? I was so happy that she is alive and she is smoking and they're reading her name to come and pick up her coffee. And she was not even surprised or amazed that unknown person because she didn't know me. Look at this weird thing. I was having antagonized feelings, like, let's say, negative feelings, yes, 4 years ago against her. She didn't even know. I was upset she's smoking and the smoke comes, so to speak, in my face. How dare she? I just give you an example. 4 years passed with this scenario of this horrible scenario of war. And you know what? I approached her today. I said, "Hello, Valentina." And she doesn't know my name. She doesn't know me, but I know her because I was upset about her. So I learned her name because she in a way, she caught my attention because she was making me upset. So I learned her name. Yes. And today I was just there, not even buying coffee, just moving through the space. And I said, "Valentina, they're calling your name. Please pick up your coffee." And she said, "Yes, yes, I heard." Like we were friends from eternity. So this perception of who am I? Let's say someone upsets you. I don't know, even for smoking cigarettes in your face or and you and like animal I was. How dare she? And look what happened. She doesn't know. But here I share with you a sentiment and just normal person. She's happy to come there after the war. Everybody's just happy to be alive. And for 2 minutes to pick up a coffee, to sit next to a flower, to have their heads, sorted, because Israel is a very condensed space. And if people have space to themselves for a couple of minutes or with a friend, it's really a blissful moment. And, and the thing is, I went for the bay for something that later on I understood it's not the time or it's not the way, but I was there to buy, let's say, embroidery, like threads, and it was not the right time. But it happened with this Valentina, this beautiful moment. People would not consider this, how you say, a winning day or a positive day, because I did not get what I wanted from the bay, like embroidery, but something great came from it.
Yeah.
Like human relations,
Yes.
Yes, Rodrigo.
Sorry to interrupt you, but you
No, you don't.
you took the smoking issue very seriously. Né? You took the smoke very seriously, and we have a tendency to take everything personally.
Yes.
Oh, how dare you doing this or doing that?
Yes.
I believe that it's easy for us to get offended by people who don't have the same lifestyle or the same perception. I don't know. It's of course very easily here in my life also. Sometimes it's a kind of judgment, I believe. We have this tendency to judge. Yeah.
You see, but time is moving, and what maybe if you have this, very good to see you here, Abigail. We tend to think about ourselves all kinds of things, that I like this and I don't like that. Like you say, people like to embrace more people who live like their lifestyle and to reject people who live other lifestyles or other languages or other cultures. But you see, I understood in a way that there is nothing inside, because I didn't have a grudge for her at all. I just approached, and it's interesting because during those years I could see her from time to time and I heard her name, and since then I had there is a relation of a name to a person or so. And I understood that it was like a moment, and I don't have anything against this person. So why should I never exchange word with her? But to show you how sometimes a moment could be seen or colored in a way that after a while it's not. Imagine that, you go with through life with those beats, with those takes, and it can be just, with anyone, or on or different backgrounds, but it's just a moment and we take it so seriously. And if we don't define ourselves, like you say, ego, personalities, or what is me, or what is my border, or what I give to consent, yes or no, it's just a flow.
Yeah, T,
Yes,
um, there is a saying in Portuguese. I don't know if you know it, but it's something like live and let live, something like that.
yes, yes,
But since we presume that it's important to relation each other, we have to be in communication. We talk about the SIA conversation. It's not easy let live because we have this tendency to interfere, even to help people. So it's very hard to, how can I say, let it be, because we are always judging and try to help and try to how can I say, it's not the right word, but trying to show to other people our perspectives, and sometimes we interfere, we judging the people, but it's almost how can I say, it's almost I don't know in English, but something like inevitable. There is a word in Portuguese, something like this, something that you cannot avoid. And because since we are in relation, in communication, we are being influenced, and we are influencing other people and try to. It's a very thin line uh, between being relation to get a conversation and sometimes trying to manipulate or dominate or controlling everyone and everything. I don't know. If you could help me, I just share my impressions, listen to you, and
yes, yes, when we see ourselves, yes, as outside of the world. And it's interesting, it was in the corona time. And the other one is a rival. Yes, it's an opponent. Every person who walks I don't know how you experienced the corona those 2 years, each one in his state or continent, but everyone who moved, yes, with a mask, or because there was like a obligation to walk with mask all the time, like for 2 years. So everyone who walked even nearby, it was a danger. Yes. And it is interesting. We mentioned this also in the previous conversation. But something has changed because you don't see the other, so to speak, the other as an opponent or outside of the world. Everybody is part of this creation, beautiful creation. things has changed. We started here, and you remember, Rodrigo, you were here. We started in like opening the Torah almost every day, reading from the Zohar, sittings with mathematics. Felipe is here as well. Good morning. We started with this. And slowly, it shifted. So we still meet and we still converse, but in a way the template is different. We don't sit with whiteboard. We don't sit with text and numbers and calculations. We just come and converse together. I had a sense all the time that I had to speak those things, those truths that are in the text. So the format was like to create a space when people could assemble around the text, around paintings. So, but slowly it shifted. Because it's not about the text. It's about us. It is through the text, and Weinreb speaks about it, also the sages, that through the text we learn how humans behave, or what comes from the infinite and stream through us, through humans. Not that we have chosen all of this. No, none of us chose this life or the course of his or her life. We did not. We were positioned here. And the most, in a way, the irritating thing is that we believe that we are those squares that have names and addresses and forms. This is what kinds of irritating. And this perception creates animosity between people, because if there's nothing and we recognize that there's nothing inside, so why should be any animosity or rivalry between people? This war was not easy to live, but in a way it gave us a present, I think, to all of us. It's just to appreciate life as they come in a moment, and it just deleted any kind of grudges or something. It's amazing what a war can do. Just amazing. Questions or thoughts? Felipe, Jill, Abigail, Yanis, Pixies, Rodrigo. How is it to live with ego, Rodrigo?
May I actually here? May I do another question? Another comment?
Yes, of course.
If all that is this unity, which manifests itself through us, there is, how can I say, a paradox between this idea and the fact that we can exist without actually being, without being attached, being cleave to this unity. I heard that the notion of free will is, how can I say, is superestimated, but since we admit that there is only unity, we, in the other hand, we admit also that sometimes we are not cleaved, attached to this unity. I don't know what I said is true, but it's for me seems like a paradox, because we know there is a source, there is the manifested, that manifested here in the world, but sometimes we are not cleaved to this unmanifested source.
Whatever comes, maybe I understand, Rodrigo. Thank you for the question. Many things are coming from the source. Yes. Also, war comes from the source. Whatever comes from the source. The thing is not to take this as our behavior, because we are incapable of moving here at all. Not to mention behaving or relating without something that comes from the source, with any animation that comes from the source. So whatever comes. But we are judging and saying, hey, I was angry. No, it's not that I was angry. Anger rises, or happiness rises. It's not that I am angry or I am happy or I am discontent. Those things are crossing us. Look at the sea. Sometimes the sea is flat. Sometimes there's like western wind, and the waves are high. Sometimes there are clouds, sometimes there are storms, sometimes there are nice winds for surfer. So all of those manifestations, it's not just that we can see different manifestation above the face of the water or above the face of the sea, but in the same manner, all kinds of emotions, sentiments, thoughts, feelings are crossing us, but we do not own them. They are moving through us, but we don't have them. The mistake and the tendency is to think that we have them. This is the mistake, because in a way we are like empty fabric, empty canvas. Whatever comes, if comes a blue brush, we see a blue paint. If there's a green brush, we see a green, yes, plant, but it comes from the source. It's not us. We tend to think that I am angry, or he is an angry man, or this is all kinds. It's a manner of speech, but it's just something that moves through us. There is, in a way, there are people, and some people have those qualities, and other people have different qualities, and so yes, there is, but all the animation comes from the source. we tend to think that certain people have certain qualities and they own them. Yes. And there comes rivalry. Yes. Because we tend to think that they are the owner. Yes. Of those qualities. Owning and claiming. Yes. But it's nobody has anything. But if someone, for example, live their life 24 hours a day, almost, yes, yes, if this is what people do, this is also a manifestation. There are people who sit in front of the TV. Yes, it comes from the source. We don't like that. Or some people sit and they don't move, or they don't walk in fresh air. And people say it's not healthy to sit and to drink and not to move. And this also comes from the source. Judgment is not helping, because judgment always takes, or the judgment always work between two. So there is no need to judge. You do some. Yes, Rodrigo, can you unmute and speak, please? Yes, Rodrigo.
Oh, hello, Eti. What I tried to say was I'm looking for.
I don't
You,
quite hear.
you
Yes,
can you listen? It's better now.
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, what I tried to say, Eti, it's try to conciliate this idea of the free will and this concept that you are bringing to us, that all came from the source, and everything is, how can I say, we need just to enjoy, we need just to live without say without some without without to be concerned about we think it's a problem or something like that. We just need to receive this light and to manifest this life. But sometimes our daily lives issue about the ego and the choices and free will always face it in front of us in our daily lives. We are facing, we choose this or do that, and we have, how can I say, almost hundred of choices in every second, and sometimes we we question if we did the right thing, we do the right choice, and you know, we know what I talk about, because we already speak about this a lot of times. Uh, Even the perception of guilt or regret or something like that, because we are faced with this, at least for me, this question about the accountability, the responsibility of our choices. We we deal with this during our lives, our daily lives, and so it's difficult. It's hard to me to conceal this idea with this notion that you bring to us. Sorry, it is some confused when I try to explain myself in English. It's some confused, but I hope you understand what I try to say. Thank you very
I'm
much.
trying. Thank you. I'm trying. So you say that everyone makes, let's say, or has the chance to make 100 decisions every day at least. This is what you're trying to say. And how can it be that if we make, let's say, each and every one of us about 100 decisions every day, how can it be that we are not responsible? Yes? You look into your, let's say, how shall I say this? Journal, and if you write a diary, it's about 100. Let's take it as an example that each and every one of us makes 100 decisions every day at least. So how can it be that we are not responsible? Yes. If everyone makes 100 decisions every day, how can it be that we are not responsible? It is very simple. Because we are not the maker of the decisions. We are incapable of making any decision. Again, all of us, humanity, we are incapable of making any decision. But you will ask for justice. But in English we say, what? There's a term. Yes, there's a term in English to make a decision. But this is just a manner of speak. Nobody is capable of making any decision. So, but we see that in a way, there are decisive moments, but no one makes any decision. So what is the answer? The result is already being accepted. We are just the receivers. Each and every one of us is just a receiver of hundreds of thousands of decisions. We're just receiving. Yes, we are just simple receivers. In Hebrew, we say Kabbalat Hachlatot. It means that the Hebrew is more accurate because what we are capable is only of receiving the decisions that had been made in the intelligence. But we are not making any decision. None of us. We are incapable of making decisions. Because making decisions implies of something mechanical. But in the intelligence, it's being received. And once there is a reception of decision, the body follows. And we turn left or right, we put the key in the car and switch it and all kinds of things. We take the guitar and play. But we are not the makers. It's hard for us to accept it, but we are not the makers. There's something in the intelligence that being accepted, and then there's just follow-up on this acceptance. Therefore, we cannot be counted as responsible. We are incapable of doing anything. It's something else that society will judge. Yes, because society will always judge and say, okay, you crossed this red light and there's a fine or whatever. Yes, but we are incapable of making any decision. And this is a great thing. It's a fact, by the way. It has been proved in laboratories. So it's a quite relief, because if we are not making any decisions, so we cannot be, we cannot be, in a way, we can do false. It's something that is being happening above our heads. So you cannot accuse yourself, let's say one person, cannot accuse himself or herself of having or making, in brackets, a wrong decision, because it's not it's not he or she that are making those decisions. We are incapable of making any decision. Therefore, there's no need to walk with those thoughts that I have made a mistake in this junction, in that junction, because we are incapable, yes, of doing anything, making any decision, having any mistakes. We can't. This is what, in a way, this recognition turns life into a lighter voyage. Because if I am the decision maker, it takes me a lot of time to make a decision. I consider all aspects, heavy responsibility. But we are not. So we can easy going. No, there isn't, because we cannot calculate. Jill, we can't, no human can calculate any decision that, let's say, in this junction something happened. We cannot calculate how this action will affect in the next 10 years, because nobody knows. Who can calculate this? No one. And there is no good or bad choices. And no one is responsible. And you can take the load off your shoulder. No one, no human is capable of making any decision for good or for bad. If there is something like this, good and bad is just in our perspective. We're just incapable. There is general intelligence of life, and all is happening in this. We cannot perceive this. Yes, we don't have those, let's say, instruments to measure how it is happening to this accuracy, but it is happening in the intelligence. And then something is being accepted in the system called, let's say, Pixidis, Yanis, and so Abigail, Jean, Rodrigo, Felipe. And then there's a movement towards what comes, so to speak, as a choice decision. But not that there is an independent decision maker. It's impossible. The divinity does not, in a way, leaning on us. It would be awkward, yes. Think about it from the perspective of divinity, that you will have 8 billion people that they take the liberty to make decisions. It's impossible. We could even argue and ask what happens in the birds community. Is there let's say, a chairman among birds that decide whenever they fly from continent to continent because the weather conditions had been changed? It just happens. There's something that happens in the intelligence of the birds that moves them, in the dolphins, yes, in the whales movement. This all what moves life is intelligence, infinite intelligence. We are incapable of seeing it because we think, oh, we're humans, we're capable of reading, and we are making our own decisions, which car to buy, yes, in which neighborhood to live, yes. It also asks dolphins. There is a, if you see a dolphin moves under the water, you will see there is a swimming, and there's a change, and suddenly he pops from the water. And this is not intelligence. What is this? Ask the dolphin. Put a dolphin next to a desk and put a form next to him. Yes, next to the dolphin, and ask him, when did you decide to change your swim direction? And so it's ridiculous. Why suddenly the butterfly moves from this flower to this tree? Who is the decision maker in all of this? In all of this? Why at certain point the fruit is heavy and the apples fall from the trees to the ground? There is a decision making in all of this. There is a, I don't know, there's a board meeting. Of course, no. So in a way, just recognizing that nobody is in charge and nobody is making any decisions or incapable of making any decisions, because we are built just one to receive a higher, let's say, decisions that happens in the general intelligence. Yes, that's also the only, I would say, conclusion is simple. Live your life in the moment as they come, lighter, without carrying those heavy stones of the Wailing Wall on your back. I made a horrible decision. I did do and did that, da. Everybody comes from a background, from a story here. If we tend to believe to those stories, it becomes very heavy and unbearable. It's so heavy that people cannot breathe. They have breathing problem, they have anxiety problem, they cannot sleep. But all of this is just a make-up reality. It's not really happening in reality. It is quite simple. Just live life as they come in the moment. Because inside, there's nothing. And the more we recognize that there's nothing inside, the more happier life appear to us. It is quite simple. And with this beautiful message, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being present here today. Big cities, Yanis, Jill, Abigail, Rodrigo, Felipe, תודה רבה. שבוע טוב. Happy good life to everyone.